You know, a lot of things in universe could happen within a year. For me, within only 1 year, I broke up with a girl, not quite, but technically. After that, I had a few potential females, my priorities changed, mentally grew up a little bit. Less a boy, more a man kind of thing, but sadly, not physically. My weight stays the same. And you know what? It's also already a year since I got to play God of War Ragnarok, very close to the day it got released. Honestly, I didn't have much reserved money for my future life with wife and kids, but following the call of my heart, I still managed to afford a PS5. You shall not bear false witness. I'm sorry, my lord. It was only a PS4, since it was more affordable, but I know like more than 50% people out there are more than happy with a friendly price full HD setting sort of thing. How could I have missed this? God of War Ragnarok was an absolute blockbuster to all the God of War real fans like I am. Especially I already skipped the God of War 2018 even though I still got to play it on PC eventually, but it's time, no excuses. As person that has gone through the game, I've been having some things to say the whole time, but quite frankly, mostly complaints. Today I decided to make a video and speak out what God of War Ragnarok really has left in me. It is without question that God of War 2018 did an amazing job. The game was a reboot and at the same time wasn't meant to be a reboot. The story kinda continues when Kratos left Greece. Literally all people agree with that and the Game of the Year award was well deserved. Well, even though it got to avoid Shakira, which was out in 2019, which was 1 year after that, but if somehow it was released in the same year, there would have been still chances for God of War to win Game of the Year award, even though Shakira is no doubt a tough adversary. Everyone knows that God of War 2018 is that good. Back to the scene you see when Elden Ring was awarded Game of the Year, I was like Stephen in Django Unchained.
This nigga here? That nigga there.
But as time went by, I couldn't agree more. There are many reasons for this, and let's go in details one by one. God of War depicts a new journey of Kratos, the very God of War himself, a beautiful journey of redemption and family bond and well-made Norse environment through realm after realm. It gives us a vibe that's core first impression. This is the first time in the franchise we get to control Kratos from the back half fixed angle, along with his son who we also get to see for the first time. First time we experience the Norse, first time we see Kratos with a beard instead of a goatee, first time with an axe instead of the blaze of chaos, and first time for this type of storytelling. So to be fair, it's not easy for God of War Ragnarok to continue on impressing players the way its predecessor did when anything above would not be the first time anymore. God of War Ragnarok is supposed to solve all the mysteries, all the problems, all the questions that God of War has set up for it, just in one sequel left. You know, when we have a small space room with a lot of stuff in it, furniture, for example, we likely create a mess. Playtime increases from 21 to 26 hours from two games promises a tedious journey. And these extra 5 hours are inevitable when the studio was initially supposed to create a trilogy. So God of War Ragnarok also represents the non-existing third game. Therefore, in this case, 26 hours is long but yet short. Maybe even 100 hours is not a big deal for an open world game, but 26 is a big number for a linear game like Ragnarok. As predicted in Atreus' dream, not long after we press new game button, we finally hail Thor, the god of thunder, and his daddy, who's supposed to look like this. I gotta say I was upset, but throughout the game I see that Odin portrays as a coward, a manipulator, and this initial concept looks more like an experienced warrior, very strong and muscular, that he emanates his bravery and power, which all contradicts the idea above. So I think I get why they went with the new bald Odin. They can't mess things up, they go away. Here our journey begins throughout literally 9 realms when 3 people, including Mimir, decide to get rid of them forever. I gotta say when I started off the game, I didn't like it. It's all white everywhere because of the Fimble winter. The snow covers everything that was colorful and beautiful in the prequel, but I can't blame it. It's Fimble winter after all, but no worries, after that, all the realms are gonna be breathtaking. Especially for Svartalfheim, Vanaheim, Jotunheim. The water effect is so cool in Svartalfheim, where it's mainly water. It's crystal clear, it has a blue theme different than other waters in other realms. And this time, Alfheim doesn't feel the same to me. I'm talking about the ambience and the graphic. I'm not sure if the devs try to insinuate anything, such as the time that has passed since we left in God of War. It looks like no one cared to clean the place from dirt and the blight that has grown all over the place. The surfaces of some certain objects look like they were done in a hurry. Maybe this time the world is so vast that the devs had to get along. To me, it looks kinda sad and can't compare to the beauty of his own in the past. Don't get me wrong, it's still a piece of fine work, but I prefer the way it was. And this time we have a desert besides the Temple of Grower. I don't know if I have missed something both in my own gameplay and the internet, but I have no idea how to get access to that chest right over there. If you know how and when we can, maybe you can help me out in the comment section. I don't want to act as a smart ass, but I'm so eager to tell you about a detail that I saw for myself without any help. Chances that you already know, but when they are about to leave the Temple of Grower, Kratos takes a last look at the light because he's about to leave Faye again. This man hates by the guts and loves by the heart. Vanaheim and Jotunheim are both so vast, and this time Jotunheim, specifically Ironwood, is a place that has the most stunning view and graphic in the whole game. Earlier I mentioned that I thought Alfheim this time was not well invested by the studio. I think they kinda spent a big amount of resources in creating Vanaheim and Ironwood, including the crater area in Vanaheim, which contains a lot of content after you have finished the main story. Even though we have a ton of new characters this time, but character designs are quite impressively detailed. Let's talk about Kratos. This time his tattoo is a little bit pale. It's not that crimson red like the prequel, which I think is a downgrade. His face and body also look different, and I prefer the Kratos old design. And his new chest piece kind of covers a big part of his muscles, which are shown in the prequel. This is also a downside. If you notice, the way they recorded Kratos' voice kind of changed. Kratos sounds a heavy bass tone in the prequel, unlike this time, but the act is still good, phenomenal, even better when he confronts Atreus or just simply has conversations with his son. Christopher Judge added up his emotions very well in his voice. I don't like it when I realized that Mimir's beard doesn't dangle anymore. At first I think it's so cold that his beard freezes, but Kratos' doesn't. And in other warmer realms other than Midgard, his beard still cannot dangle the way it does in God of War 2018. That's a minor thing. For Freya, from a side character, they antagonized her in the previous game, and she is expected to have a big impact to the story. Therefore, they have upgraded her a little bit, that now she is able to express a larger emotional range all over her face. If you would just pay attention a little bit, and this time the number of side character has been significantly increased when it has to close up the whole series. More characters, longer gameplay, and more long-ass dialogues make the story kinda harder to keep track on. I'm telling you, it was more enjoyable when I watched the game over again in order to create this video. Everything is easier to understand when you only have to relax and interpret what the heck is going on. Added into that, Ragnarok is really dependent a lot on its cutscenes, which are too many. Besides the recycled themes, we have new ones for the world of the dwarves, Svartalfheim. New compositions completely different than the ones we have heard before, kinda blow a new fresh air into the game. When we see Baldur for the first time, we don't even know who he is. And after breaking his neck, we go through a lot of trouble just to find out he is Baldur. We go on a trip without actually knowing what location is up ahead. All that intrigue our curiosity, our wanderlust for adventure. Even when we first meet Freya, we don't even get to know who she is. I got goosebumps when I played God of War 2018, even when I run along the progress, not knowing where I'm coming to. But now in Ragnarok, the moment we see the fat man, we know that's Thor, we know that's Odin right away without introducing. And we know where to go first through the mural not long after that, which is Svartalfheim. My opinion is, I think all things above are the reasons why the game can't hype you up the way it does in the prequel at the early game. Faye's backstory is a plus. We get to finally see Faye in flesh portrayed by Deborah Ann Wald through Kratos' dreams. The way Faye shows Kratos is the same way Kratos shows his son, which is the same way they tell us players how to become the better version of ourselves. Things like be better instead of being sorry. know how to prepare for our future to come, like the way Faye prepares for her own death, and open our heart to love, even though we know exactly it will culminate into grief in the end. Ragnarok is vast. It tells a good story. It has magnificent world designs, but in those terms, I just think that Elden Ring is even better. The combat system inherits the prequel for a big part of it. Atreus is limited in just a few basic moves and skills, which could be quite boring every time you control him instead of the big dude. Besides all that, Kratos' action set in this game is quite familiar in general compared to God of War 2018 and other Greek backdrop versions. His move set is so iconic that I don't think they would ever change it. If they have to change something, they could work on runic attacks and a skill set of brand new weapon the way they did the Draupnir spear. Remember this when they partner up and finally bring Baldur to his knees. Alright, now watch this. Compared to Baldur's fight, this fight with the Valkyries doesn't feel like it has such a rhythm and connection like the one with Baldur, where both father and son all focus on the same target and wait for their turns to throw hits at Baldur, so fast and repeated he hardly catches a breath. The fight with the Valkyries feels separate when now they focus on two targets, but the devs still try to pull off the same thing again the way they did Baldur in the prequel. It turns out like this. This is not bad, but it's not good either. I mean, they could have executed the scene differently, and they even posed for the cinematic purpose. While in the prequel, they only have to beat the shit out of Baldur in order to impress players, without Kratos and Atreus posing anything for TikTok purposes. And after the final match with Baldur, you remember this unexpected save from the World Serpent? Fucking epic, isn't it? And I don't recall Ragnarok has such a plot-twisting, explosive circumstance. Now for the final battle in Asgard. All the main boss fights here are under my opinions above also. There are a lack of epic moments. You see, it takes the whole God of War 3 to depict the final battle between Kratos and the Greek pantheon. But it only takes like the last short session, probably 1 hour of the 26-hour long game to show the Battle of Asgard. Such limited time results into a not bad but still disappointing battle. I hope you don't get me wrong, the ideas of this game are far from bad. They are actually so good, I just don't appreciate the way the studio executed those ideas only in a 26-hour sequel. My point is, I think they really need at least one more sequel to perfect the game. As a standalone game, Ragnarok is excellent. You will enjoy every single moment playing it, I promise, but as a sequel of a big game that came before that, Ragnarok is not really there yet. All that aside, the game itself is very touching at some point. You're gonna have to hold it in time after time, trust me. There are a lot of cool ass actions, such as the session when you rescue Freya in high speed on the shoulder.
We gotta be close, right?
On your right!
Keep going! We're almost at the river!
I'm about to hurl.
Here are some minor details, but they are small and you can just simply ignore if you want to. In Ragnarok, we still don't get to know who blew the horn when Kratos was rushing to Freya with a sick Atreus in his arms.
Somebody just called the serpent.
Near the dead dragon of Baldur location, the only way to kill that underground creature is to cut the bucket down on its head from the back of it, and the bucket doesn't respond. So if you do it wrong, such as coming too close to it from the front instead of the back, the creature gets to dodge death just by digging in the ground. You would likely have to give up the loot from killing the creature.
It's just on the way to the vengeful goddess who wants you dead, so it'll give us some time to decide about not going there.
So, you know where Freya is?
No. I mean, yes, but look, let's just talk to the snake first, and then I won't take you to Freya. How's that sound?
Isn't Sindri supposed to say will instead of won't? That's it, that's everything good and bad I ever noticed about Ragnarok. I heard the DLC is upcoming, chances that it be solving the lores and filling the hole in me. Hope you enjoyed the video and see you next time.